today's discussion about hijab and why do women wear it? Because one of the common questions that non-Muslims have, even if they don't say it, they actually look down upon hijab. They think hijab is oppressive, and they think hijab is degrading for women and is keeping women behind. Like, why is she covered? What's wrong with her? Why don't you just dress like how everybody else dress? So this issue of hijab is very common. So before we jump right into it, we need to understand the context. I'm in the class. I'm in the class. Go to your room, both of you. Huh? So we need to understand the historical aspect that Islam came from. So in the Babylonian civilization and Greek civilization and Roman civilization and Egyptian civilization, they all had subhuman view of women. They thought women are lesser than men, and the job of women is to serve men. Like she has no life. She were created from the ribs of Adam, and she created for Adam. So her entire purpose in life is to serve men. That's why they viewed women as what? As sexual objects for men. So they had very negative thoughts about women. In fact, I think in the Roman civilization, um, they have the Pandora, the woman that says she's the source of all evil. In Egyptian civilization, they think of women as a evil and she's the son of the devil, and so on and on. Even in pre Islamic Arabia, they viewed women as a burden, like they don't want women. There are so many women they have because they have so many slaves. So they actually, they it was a disgrace for them if they end up having a girl. So when Arabs, they used to wait for their wife to give birth. So if they found out it is a girl, they will actually give him condolences, like sorry for your loss that you actually have a girl. So Edu, it is very messed up um, society that they lived in, to that extent that they actually look down upon women, and they ending up bury them and killing their daughters because they don't want them. So just give you a context. Historically, in every single civilization and culture and religion and so on and on, they always oppress two things. Can anybody guess who are the two things that always get the worst treatment? Can anybody guess who always gets the worst treatment?
Wouldn't it be the elderly and at times children because that might be vulnerable?
Mm, not really. So some civilizations, they love children and they look up to the elderlies. They respect the elderlies, especially all these tribe mindsets like Native Americans and all these things. They actually honor the elders. Um, Good guess, but no. Try again.
Maybe the poor,
Huh?
so or like the not wealthy.
Very close. So first one is the slaves. Slaves is worse than poor. Poor, maybe he got a family or something. So historically, slaves and women, they always get the worst treatments in every single civilization until Islam came. And Allah in the Quran, He says men are qawamun over women. And this word qawamun is very, what you call it, there's a big discussion about what it means that a man has a higher level, higher grade, or higher degree over women. He says men are qawamun over women. So they translate it as caretakers, supporters, protectors, guardians, people who are in charge over women. So men, when Islam came, when Allah revealed this Quran, He said men are the caretakers and the helpers and the supporters over women. So now he put basically the purpose of man is to take care of women. So he came to change that shift completely. So now man becomes what the our we will be questioned over our women. So if something bad happens to my wife, her father will come and will blame me. It was like, why did you allow this to take place? What's wrong with you? Ain't you man enough? So they actually question the husband for whatever happens in the house and whatever happens to the wife. So it is a place of responsibility. And because we have a responsibility to take care of these individuals, our wife and children, automatically we have a place of authority. So they say the husband is the head of the housewife, the head of the house, and so on. Why? Because how am I going to be in charge and responsible over someone who does not listen to me? Or how am I going to be responsible over someone who they don't even like value what I say and do, and so on. So it is more difficult to be in charge. Then somebody was like, okay, what do you want me to do? Is everything good? Like, you employee, you don't need to worry about nothing else. If you are a boss or a person in charge, you have to worry about so many things to take care of all the people that you are in charge with. So Islam basically came to flip that idea that, hey, women are actually here to take care of men, and so on and on. So Allah says men are caretakers of women, as men has been provisioned by Allah over women and tasked with supporting them financially. And righteous women are devoutly obedient when alone, protective what Allah has entrusted them with. And if you sense ill conduct from your wife, from your woman, advise them first. If they persist, do not share the bed. If they persist, then discipline them gently. And if they change their ways, then do not be unjust to them. Surely Allah is most high, most all great. So the idea of this hadith that I am sharing is to show you that Islam came to change that paradigm shift. That instead of looking down on women, no, now it's become the job of the husband is to take care of their wives. Make sense? Also, Prophet Muhammad says, women are the twin halves of men. So women are the second part of, like, basically they are a second man or a twin. So same thing. There is nothing different between men and women. They both are equal. Huh? The only thing that different is the roles and responsibility. There is nothing that is physical makes a man better than women or women better than men. The only thing that makes us different is our roles and responsibilities. So that's something really you cannot judge. Make sense? So, any questions, any thoughts about what we just mentioned here before we move on?
So this is like defining equity versus equality.
Good. I think did we talk about it last week? Um, So we believe in equity, not equality. That we complement one another and we complete one another to have a full and healthy and peaceful family. It's not just the man or only the woman and so on. Hopefully that makes sense. So, jumping right into this, the first point is about hijab is that actually hijab exists for men as well. It's not only for women. So Allah says, say to the believing men that they should lower their gaze and guard their modesty, and they will make for greater purity for them, and Allah is well equated with all that they do. Basically, Allah is all knowing. So the first thing before we even talk about the hijab for women, there is actually hijab for men. And the hijab for men is what? To lowering their eyes, their gaze, and guard their modesty. So they need to act in a modest way, and they behave and think and do all this in a modest way. They don't go into immodesty and shame and bad things. So they put here the moment that a man look at a woman, if any sexual thoughts or unshamed thoughts come to his mind, he should lower his gaze. So believe it or not, something that you need to be aware of, because we are living in the West and the different cultures and the clash of civilizations here. Some cultures, men are not supposed to look at in the eyes of the other person. So when we talk, we always look down or we look to the side. When you look in the eyes of a person who talking to you, that's a sign of disrespect. That's a sign of disagreement. That's a sign that you basically what you are arguing with the person. So these different cultures. But here in America, it is actually disrespectful when you look away when you talk to somebody. So you need to be aware of this. So when a Muslim man, we are being taught that you should not look at the woman when you talk to her. You should lower your gaze. You're supposed to look down when you speak to a woman. So when you don't look at her face, and you guys you connect your eyes and you start like having all these awkward thoughts. It was like, why are you looking at me like this? Why are you looking at me like this? And so on and on. To avoid this, so it is better a part of hijab, which is the veil that protects you. It's part of this that we're supposed to lower our gaze. Um, and this actually currently now 2024. I think last year they made a policy. I don't know which company it was, that they said you should not stare in the eyes of women when you talk to them. So you say every 5, 6, every 10, 15 seconds, you need to break eye contact, because the eyes give thoughts as well. Makes sense? So first thing that we need to be aware of, hijab is not only for women, it is for men as well. Hijab for women, Allah says, and say to the believing women that they should lower their gaze as well and guard their modesty, that they should not display their beauty and adornments except what appears thereof, that they should draw veils over their bosoms and not display their beauty except to their husband, their father, their husband's father, their sons, and so on. So here Allah talks to the women by talking to Prophet Muhammad, and He says, tell them, to the believing women, that they need to lower their gaze as well. You should not stare, huh? And guard their modesty. And they should not display their beauty except what is commonly shown. What is commonly shown? That we will get to it. This today's discussion. Common show is the face, huh? Or the hands, like what you usually show, huh? and they need to draw their veils over their chest. So they need to cover their cleavage, huh? And don't display their beauty except to the people that she cannot marry. Nice. So any person that the woman cannot marry, she does not need to cover up everything. So she can wear a pajama, she can wear like a short sleeve shirt. She doesn't need to cover her head. She can wear like a shorts or a skirt or like pajamas, whatever, to the people that she cannot marry. So who are those who she cannot marry? Is her father, her uncle, her brother, her grandfather, her son, grandson, and other women. So they say if a stranger man who doesn't apply to none of this, if he becomes old enough where he passed the age of marriage, they say the woman she doesn't have to cover in front of him because this reason is gone. There is no way she's gonna marry him. Makes sense? And children as well. So this is the idea that women need to cover in front of strangers. So she's not supposed to cover inside her house or when she's taking a shower or she like doing her own thing daily in her own house. Um, she's not supposed to cover in the privacy of her house. Sons-in-law, they are considered sons, huh? Because you cannot marry them. So that does not apply unless I'm wrong about this. I think it applies. Anybody have any thoughts about sons-in-laws and daughters-in-laws?
No,
Y-
that's what I heard,
Yes.
that son-in-laws are mahram for the woman. They count
Y-
as their sons because they are husbands of their daughters. So
Uh-huh.
son-in-law considered as a mahram of a woman. So that's
Oh,
why I just
yes,
wanted
yes.
from.
Yeah, you 100% correct. I got confused with what about the son of your wife or the daughter or the son of your husband? That's
Actually,
what I
that one
got confused
mahram
with.
too. Yes.
They are mahram too?
Yes. That's a
They
mahram.
are not.
So we have a situation in close to our family. So
Ye-
the wife and the husband are divorced and they got married on separate uh, marriage. Then each one has different child from different women. So the woman, the son, the daughter, they are brothers.
Very interesting
The
because
son,
I think they are not mahram. And there
son,
is a way that they
no,
can make
I'm
them
sorry.
mahram.
Son and
Uh-huh.
the son and the daughter are not mahram. Sorry.
Yes,
So they still can get married if they
they
are
still can get married,
they're still from
but
because still different mom and dad. Right.
yes. So for example, let me explain this little bit more.
Yes, go
Yeah,
ahead.
because what I heard, like if you have like children from your spouse, they are
Mhm.
not your mahram until you make it. There are ways you can make them mahram, but until
Yeah,
you make them mahram, they are not mahram to you.
yes, 100%. So if you marry a woman, or like a woman marries a man,
Mhm.
and that man has boys, so the new mother who married the father, she's a stranger to his kids. So it will be very awkward
You got it
that
mixed
she,
up. Like, I'm sorry for interrupt.
yes,
Now, whatever your dad's uh, uh, marriage or sleep with, those are prohibited under in his children. Again, whatever
not
your dad
children. I'm talking to the mother.
to the mother, yes. So let's say my dad married a new wife. That
Uh-huh.
wife, she's prohibited on me, so she's a mahram.
No,
So
wait. Let me ask the question. So
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 if my dad get married another wife, that wife just like my mom.
is she?
Yes,
That's my
she's whatever
automatically
the
because
ayah Quraniya is clear. The meaning of it is whatever your parents, your dad has that have sexuality with him, they are just considered like your mom. You cannot marry whatever your dad's married. So just like what happened
Definitely, you
to Prophet
cannot
Muhammad
marry
when,
them,
just like
but
what
do
Prophet
they
Muhammad
consider?
married Safiya when she got divorced from Zayd.
Uh-huh.
فلما زي
That's
فلما
different.
same
That's
thing. The,
adopted
the
son.
father, yeah. So just to show everybody that he is not his son, and he still could marry whatever he married, because that's he's not his son. So what I'm trying to clear out right here, that if let's say my father married a woman,
Uh-huh.
I cannot marry her.
Yes,
She should become like my mom, because my dad
sounds good.
married
You're
her.
right. You're right.
After he
Yes.
divorced her, I cannot marry her.
Okay, so sons-in-laws are considered mahram,
Yes,
and we
yes.
good. So we're all on the same page. I was wrong. I got confused with the adopting their kids. Uh,
Adopting still
yeah,
strange. Yeah.
that's what I was confused with. So if you get married and the new wife has daughters, huh, they are automatically considered your daughters, and you cannot marry them even after you divorce their mom.
So if
So,
they have their daughter, if the wife has a daughters,
uh-huh.
I believe 70% that you still could marry them because they're different mom and dad, or different, yes, different mom and dad from the other person. So if the mother and father are different mom and dad, you could still marry her. Yes, and I just remembered a situation that happened overseas to us. So if it's a different mom and dad, you could still marry this woman, this girl, the daughter.
Wait, let me say it again because I think you're talking about something different.
Yes, go ahead and
I'm
clear it out.
saying if you marry a woman that
Mm-hmm.
has a daughter, she
Uh-huh.
already has a daughter.
If I marry a woman, she has a daughter. Now she's not.
Uh-huh.
You cannot marry her.
Yes. And if even if you divorce the woman,
Mm-hmm.
she will always be your stepdaughter.
Exactly, correct.
Yes. She will always be forbidden for you to marry her. That's what I'm
Correct.
saying.
Yes,
Does
yes.
depend on
Same
age
page.
that the parent
Yeah,
get
we're in the same
married.
page. Correct.
Yes. I don't
Jazakallah
consider
khair.
my stepdad mahram because my mom only married him. So, Morgan, Islamically, he will always be your father, even if you divorced his son. He will always be a mahram to you. That's from Islamic perspective. So, let's move on. So, there are six criteria for hijab. First one is the extent. Extent means to what extent we need to cover. So for men, we need to cover from the belly to the knees, under the knees. Makes sense? And for women, need to cover everything except the face and the hands. That's the extent. So the hijab of the clothes, the dress code, uh, for women, she need to cover everything except the face and the hands. And for men, need to cover everything between his belly button and his knees. And the rest 5 points is exactly like for men and women. So they need to wear loose clothing, and that should never reveal the figure. So it should not be tights or very skinny jeans or like you know how the exercise shirts that they wears in the gym, huh? And their clothes should not be transparent or translucent, such a person can see through them. Not men and women cannot wear this. The clothes worn should not be glamorous that attract the opposite sex. So you should not wear such a flashy colors that brings attention to yourself, huh? And you should not wear something that can attract the opposite gender to yourself, with like drawings on it or the design or whatever. You should not attract attention to yourself. Wear something nice and beautiful and fashionable, but you should not seek attention. And the clothes should be not resemble the opposite gender. So a man should not wear clothes that women wears, and women should not wear the clothes that man wears. And also clothes should not resemble that of unbelievers, that should not wear identity so for them. So you should not wear any dresses or clothes that belong to a specific group. Makes sense? If everybody wears it, okay, go ahead and wear it. But if it only belongs to a specific sect, specific religion, or specific gang, or specific group, you should not wear something that resembles a specific group. Makes sense? Like wearing cross, wearing the thingy that the nuns wear, wearing your hijab like the nun, huh? Or wearing what the pope and rabbis wear, and all these like things that identify you as a person belong to that group. Any questions, thoughts, reflection about these points, about the criteria of hijab? Cool. So we should not have the idea that hijab is only how you dress. Hijab actually includes your conduct and your behavior. So it includes what's your morality, what you think as moral and immoral, your behaviors, how you act, your attitude, and the intention that you have inside yourself. So that's why when you want to get married, you should not have a superficial idea of hijab. Like for us, men, when we look at women and she gonna show us all her pictures throughout the years, going, mashallah, tabarak, she's wearing hijab all these years. But you don't know about what she think moral and immoral. You don't know her behavior. Maybe she wears hijab, but maybe she acts and talk in a certain way. Huh? Or maybe she has an attitude, how she behaves, and her intention, and so on and on. So they say there's a hijab of clothes, eyes, heart, thoughts, and intention. Hijab includes everything, including how you walk and talk and think. Makes sense? So when we're talking about the hijab of women and the hijab of men, huh? And you say lower your gaze, we say like, why you say lower your gaze? You thought hijab is how they dress. No, hijab is way deeper than this. It is about guarding the interaction between men and women. They put such a guidelines so you can interact with the other gender, but you have so many guidelines protecting you and protecting her from committing a sin. And a sin, it doesn't have to be sex, it could be anything, it could be flirting, it could be just staring. Prophet Jesus alayhi salam, what did he say? He said, there's the adultery of the eyes. Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, what did he say? He says, a person commits adultery with his tongue, with his eyes, with his hands, with his legs, and his private part would approve, yani give the proof, like authenticate what happened or disapprove it. So he says there is that a sin when you are committing all these things and count as adultery, but it doesn't count as adultery like in a physical sense, but it counts as the adultery of the eyes and the ears and the mouth and the hands and so on. Makes sense? So we should not have a superficial understanding of hijab. Here, also one thing that the scholars are having very interesting discussion about is why women required to wear hijab. So Allah in the Quran says, O Prophet, tell your wives and daughters and the believing women that they should cast their outer garments, cast their veil over their chest. Huh? What else? That is most convenient, that they should be known as such and not molested. And Allah is all forgiving, most merciful. What is He saying? He said, He told, O Prophet of Allah, tell your wives and daughters and the believing women that they should cover their chest. Huh? It is better for them, basically, wear the hijab, cover their head, and cover their chest, so they will be known. Known as what? And they're not to be molested. So historically, at the time of Islam and before Islam, prostitutes, huh, they used to wear hijab, but they used to throw the hijab behind their neck, exposing their cleavage. Make sense? What else did they used to do? They used to shave their eyebrows, and they used to have these ankle bracelets on their ankle. So when they walk, they make noise. So all these behaviors were known as, these are prostitutes. So men, they used to go and flirt and talk with them and try to get their way with them. So Allah telling the believers, believing women, that cover your head correct and throw your scarf on your chest, so that you will be known as a believing woman, and people not again get too confused with a prostitute. That was he saying here. So first reason for wearing hijab is identity, for you to be known that you are a Muslim woman. Nice. The second reason is about protection, that you will not be attacked. Cool. So why there is hijab? It is a part of our identity, and it's there for protection. What is interesting for you to be aware of, that there is some modern thinkers where they're trying to argue, is hijab needed or is it no longer needed? So they look back and they say every rulings in Islam, there's a condition for it. For example, we know about women cannot travel by herself. Why? Because of protection. But now everybody's safe. The woman can travel to another city in 1 hour, and from airport to another airport directly to her house. So that idea of protection is gone. So now it is allowed for a woman to travel by herself. Why? Because there is no danger. Everybody gonna help, especially if you are in Islamic countries now. So they say, what about hijab? So now nobody can come and say women does not need to wear hijab anymore. Nobody can say that. So what they say, look, it is not as a big deal as it used to be. It is one of the commandments, is one of the teachings of Islam, but it's not a big deal no more. Like if a woman doesn't wear hijab, okay, it might consider, it might consider a sin, but she's still a Muslim. Makes sense? She's still practicing Islam and she will still go to heaven. So it's not necessary um, she left the fold of the religion. So they said it's not as big deal as it used to be. So now they are thinking and debating and talking about all these things, about what is the rulings of hijab in our days. Makes sense? Just for you to be aware. For us, we still, for all the women, they still need to wear hijab. because it's part of identity of a Muslim woman, and it's part of her protection. Uh, but you grow into it. Don't jump right into it. Grow into it. Take your time until you feel comfortable in wearing the hijab, especially for the new Muslims. Huh? Um, you wear it wherever and whenever you are comfortable. So if you're comfortable only to wear it when you are around Muslims, okay, do that. But if you're not comfortable to wear it at work or outside, don't do it until you reach that level and you feel comfortable with your own dress code of the Muslim woman. Make sense? Any questions, any thoughts about what we just talked about?
Brother Laith, I have one question. I am confused about the siblings.
One second, one second, one second, one second, one second. Yes, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just confused about step siblings. Like if a woman and a man married and they both have their kids from their former spouse, are the kids and the siblings, the step siblings, basically from different father, will be mahram to each other or no?
Let me look into it and I will get back to you on this.
Sure.
Um, I think they will. Um, I'm like
Um,
90% sure they will. But I don't know if there's a difference of opinion on this.
um, I
Yes.
was reading some of that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but we should do some research. But I believe is that if it's different mom and different dad, so you have you married, you have a daughter, and you married another man, and the other man has a son. They're supposed to be like separate from each other, I believe, because they have different mom and different dad. So your daughter and his son has to be still stay away from each other. If they are from the same mom, but now this situation, the children has to stay away from each other, like the age of the puberty, which is over 12, we call it the age of the puberty. It has to be until the age of the puberty. They have to stay away from each other. Like they are called, be called. They could get married, so that they have to stay away from each other. And all God knowing. Thank you.
Yes. You're talking about this is very like a special case scenario. For example, if you marry a woman and she already has a daughter, this daughter will become your step kids. So they will become mahram automatically. Um, that's what I know. But is there's exception like what I don't think there is exception, but that's why I'm gonna look into it, inshallah, and I'll get back to you on this. Because I know they say it will be awkward, but what is that awkwardness? I don't remember. My memory is failing me. But any questions about hijab so far? Cool. So what's happening here? So when Westerns, Americans, or non-Muslims, huh, uh, they accuse us of oppressing women and accuse us of like hijab is something that is bad, huh? And they say Western values, Western societies of the women and men can dress however they want. They can dress whatever they want to do. They don't need to cover themselves. Huh? It's something that uplifts women because they say your freedom, your value is how attractive you are. Huh? So they put the value of women, they put the power of women is how free she is by uncovering herself. So that's why you see all these women protesting free whatever and free whatever, and they go out and they say, I'm free and I don't, I, as the men dress, I need to dress the same thing. So they come with the idea that hey, you, if you can undress yourself, that means you are lifted and you are free to do that, and you are empowered, and so on and on. So this is completely false and completely wrong, because in this way they degrading this degradation of her soul and honor. And that's why now you can go on YouTube and watch all these debates and discussions when they meet with prostitutes and OnlyFans women and all these women that they don't care, and they just live around and they have fun and so on and on. And with people who are conservatives, conservative Christians and Muslims, and just like they get like elderly people and they talk to them and they say, don't you have any shame? You have no honor? What are you going to think about your kids when they go to school and the other kids going to bully them and they're going to give them names and they're going to this, and they don't care. They think this is my right, this is my freedom, this is my power. I do whatever I want to do, and this makes me happy, and so on and on. So they basically they are kind of getting brainwashed into thinking, acting, and behaving this way is honorable, but it's complete the opposite. And it also, they are losing their soul, they are losing their spirituality, because what, that mental and psychological scars and pain and suffering, it is way more painful and is way more difficult to heal than physical pain. So they actually messing them up instead of giving them honor and respect and chastity and so on and on, to the point that nowadays women who live in such a western lifestyle, they just becoming concubines, where people go and sleep with them. Maybe a couple of years ago they used to buy them dinner, but now they can go 50-50 on it. So what is the point? Like they are being treated even less than concubines. Concubines are what, slave women's, who their job is to prostitution. So they are purchased into slavery and they do whatever their master tell them to do. At least they've been purchased or whatever, or they captives of war and so on and on. And they are being degraded into act as mistress, as side chicks, huh? And they being treated as society butterflies. So they become simply tools in the hands of the pleasure seekers and sex marketeers. So what's going on here? Huh? They trying to hide behind the colorful scene of art and culture. They say this is our culture, this is art, this is our culture, this is how we behave, this is how we live, this is our lifestyle. But there is not a single sane woman, huh, who will agree and willingly do this. Not a single one. Every single woman, she wants safety, tranquility, protection. She wants stability. She wants a family. Nobody want to like invest days and weeks and months and years in a relationship and it's not gonna work. So basically, the Western lifestyle is clashing with the Muslims' lifestyle. So because of the West think they right, and we talked about this last week, it's called ethnocentralism, ethnic centralism, ethnocentralism, where they think their ethnicity, they think their lifestyle is correct by default, and everybody else is wrong. So now the existence of Islamic culture is a constant reminder and a constant threat to cause them to question their own lifestyle. So when Islam comes and says, no, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this, They was like, hey, you coming, you messing up with our own style, with our own culture. So this is an overview just to tell you the sad reality that we are living in here. The rape rate in the United States, so let me show you here. I'll put all this. So 1999, it was 102,000 rape cases a year. And you go throughout all these years, and now two years ago, 133,000 cases of rape. And on top of it, they say what here? They say 60% of sexual assaults is not being reported. So they say here, how many? They say every single minute, every 68 seconds, one person getting raped or sexually assaulted. So this is the society that we are living in. Unbelievable. So when you look at all these statistics, 3 years ago, 140,000, almost 141,000 people getting raped in America, not around the world. This is United States. So when Islam comes, Islam's actually the solution to this crisis. You get the point? If a man and women applies this hijab guidelines of lowering their gaze, of dressing modestly, and not living in such a sexual hyper society, huh? Everything will slow down. Everything will decrease. Makes sense when you stop alcohol and all these things. Look at this, unbelievable. Look here. Group at higher risk of rape: women of color, native women, LGBTQ, immigrants, and women with disabilities. What type of societies we living in where they actually sexually assaulting women with disabilities, and so on and on. And age of victims, the majority of are children, ages 12 to 17. Unbelievable. And so on. So you can look into this. This is the report over here. US reported forcibly rape cases 2022. And you can look into it and see. But this just showing you that, hey, every single minute, one person is getting sexually assaulted. Any questions, any thoughts about this? About why Islam is the solution? Or what we just mentioned? Any thoughts you guys want to share? Sounds good. So now we're getting to the end of our discussion, because we're supposed to have like a short and concise answer to this question. Is when somebody come and ask you, they say, hey, why are you wearing the hijab? What's this on your head? Why you have a veil? Huh? Or they come and they say, why do Muslim women dress this way? Why Muslim men forces women to wear hijab? Whenever they come and ask you this question, here how you answer it. You say, first of all, hijab is not limited to Muslim women. Here you can see this picture. These are Catholic nuns. They are wearing the hijab. So why are you, when you look at Muslim women, you think they are being forced to wear the hijab? But when you look at Christian nun, you tell her, thank you for your service and may God bless you. And you might give her donations, and you might honor her, and you might give up your seat for her. Makes sense? And here is a Jewish woman, how Jewish women dress. And here are Hindus. These are how Hindu women dress. They're all having hijab. So what's going on here? Look at this. Where did the face veil come from? You see how, like, when the women get married, they have a face veil. That's how they used to dress. The man, he was not even, he couldn't even see the face of his wife until they get married. She has a face veil. Makes sense? So when Muslims women wear a face veil, there was, hey, why are you guys having a face veil? But when they have a face veil in their wedding,
Brother Leif, if it might just be me, but you're frozen on my end and I don't hear you.
No, he's frozen on my end as well. I'm not able to hear him.
And
Oh, okay.
looks
I
like
thought that was the only one.
I got a internet connection issues. Looks like with brother like.
to follow what God been saying all these years. Allah said women need to cover her hair in every single religion,
Uh,
including Buddhism. Yes, I'm sorry.
Sorry to interrupt you, Leif.
Oh,
You was cutting off, so we didn't hear the last for the past like 2 3 minutes of what you were saying. So
oh.
you wanna back up over what you were saying before,
Okay, my bad, my
please?
bad. So I was saying, did I say this for
This
you guys?
here.
I finished this?
You were cutting on this slide. You're saying
Yes. So I will redo this. So you can see in this slide, you see Muslim women wearing a face veil. And you see Christian women or Western women or whoever gonna get married now, they're also wearing a face veil. Makes sense? So the tradition historically, women always used to cover. So if you see all these pictures here with the African women's, this is actually a couple of years ago. These are colored pictures. So even when African women now, like maybe 10, 20, maybe the previous generation, they always have these big colorful hats because they know when a woman need to cover her head, she need to cover her hair. And these are Christians. And you see all these current Christians are performing in their churches wearing hats, wearing hijabs. But it's become symbolic. You see all these pictures here. Amish, how Amish women dress. Buddhist nuns, Catholic nuns, how Catholics supposed to dress. Druze, how they dress. Eastern Orthodox nuns, Eastern Orthodox people, Hindus, Jews, Orthodox Jews, Muslims, Sabians, Sikhs, and I don't know what is this, but you get the idea. So historically, women they always used to cover. Even the man when he about to marry a woman, the only time he sees her face is when they get married. To that point. That's why now the woman she go to the wedding and he unveils her face. What all this coming from? So when they come and ask you why you guys do this, why do Muslim women cover her hair? Why do men ask her wife to cover her hair and all these things? You say, what is the issue? What's wrong? What's wrong if a woman willingly doing it? What's wrong with the women willingly saying, now I want to cover, I want to live how God want me to live? I want to dress how God want me to dress. Because every single religion on the face of this world that believes in God, like Christianity, Judaism, Islam, Hinduism, Buddhism, Sikhism, all these religions, they all believe women need to cover her hair, except the face and the hands. So this always been what God told them to do. This what God have the higher expectation for women to dress in a certain way that's honorable and dignifiable for herself. And it is actually viewed as the more you cover, the more honorable and respectful you are historically. That's why you see the kings and queens and princes and princesses, they all dress up everything to the point you see all the princesses' dresses. How's their dresses? Big. You cannot even see her figure. So historically, it was a sign of dignity and respect. Even men, not just women, even men, they used to cover everything because they didn't have ceilings and roofs to save them, protect them from the heat of the sun. So historically, men and women, they all used to cover their head, wearing hats or wearing scarves and so on and on. So when they come and say like, you say like, what is the issue? What is the issue if a woman covers her hair? Huh? Why are you coming to Muslim women and you have that objection? Why don't you go and talk with the nun? It is in your own religion says this. It is your own grandmother doing this. So don't think only Islam says this and only Islam doing this. Huh? As long Islam says there is no force, Allah in the Quran put that ruling. He says there is no compulsion in religion. Huh? And when Allah says to cover up, so the woman need to do it from her own free will. She willingly need to do that. It is her own personal relationship and dedication between her and God. Nobody can come and say, hey, why not wearing hijab? Why not wearing this? Like, nobody appointed us to be judges over anyone. So, hopefully now you get the idea. The idea is there is nothing wrong of wearing hijab. It's just somebody else comes and he says, no, I want to see you. I want to see how you look like. I want to see how's your hair. I want to see how your body look like. I mean, like, what's going on? Why do I need to show you myself? So that's where honor and chastity kicks in, where you are so honorable that you don't want to sexualize yourself by exposing your figure. No, you only sexualize yourself to your husband because he actually the one who honor you and he's serious and he respect you and he put a ring on your hand and so on and on. Not everybody else come and is like a window shopping type of thing. Everybody looks to the point that they leave nothing to the imagination. So the idea, hopefully now you get the idea that we honor women and we respect women, and men are viewed as the caretakers and people who are responsible for the safety and the protection and taking care of women to that extent. Huh? And we view women are so valuable, so respected, that you don't go around showing everybody your treasure. You don't go around and telling everybody, hey, look how much money I got in my hand. Because what's going to happen? You're going to attract the wrong people. You're going to attract people who have an evil intent. You're going to attract people who doesn't look out for your best interest. So that's the idea of how everything works together, is part of your identity to be identified that, oh, this woman is different. This woman wears loose clothes. This woman cover her hair. And I never know how she looked like. I don't know how big she is or how small she is and whatever. And it's a sign of protection, because it's like you having a barrier between you and all these bad, messed up men, where you are only attracting people who are willing to pay attention to you as a person and what you think and what you believing and what you're doing, instead of attracting a person who attracting to your physical appearances. Make sense? um, cool. Questions, thoughts, reflections? We are done. I'm sorry, I went over one, but I think we started late. So, any questions, thoughts, reflections? Everybody here? Am I disconnected?
جزاك الله خيرا brother Light.
حبيبي.
Jazakallah, brother Light.
وإياكم وإياكم. So we good to go?
Yes, inshallah.
سبحان الله وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك. Oh Allah, we thank you so much for all the blessings that you gave us. We ask you to bless us, to guide us, to protect us, increase us in knowledge, increase us in understanding, and be with us at all times. And we ask you to send your blessings and mercy and salutations upon Prophet Muhammad, his family members, his companions, and all other Muslims who follow him until the day of judgment. Ameen. Thank you guys so much for coming. Inshallah, we'll continue next week. Assalamu alaikum.